everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Tell and Talk. Before we begin our discussion, let's first learn about Malaysia, a country known for its rich culture, traditions, and history.
As we all know, Malaysia is a Southeast Asian country with a multicultural society. Its population consists of Malays, Chinese, Indians, and indigenous communities whose diverse cultures have shaped the nation's languages, customs, and literature.
Malaysia is divided into two regions, which are Peninsular Malaysia and East Malaysia. East Malaysia includes the states of Sabah and Sarawak on the island of Borneo. The country is also famous for its tropical rainforests, beautiful coastlines, modern cities, and traditional villages.
In addition, Malaysia's strategic location has contributed significantly to its historical, economic, and cultural development. This has made Malaysia a meeting point of different cultures and traditions throughout history.
Another important feature of Malaysia is its rich cultural heritage. Oral literature, folklore, myth, and traditional story has been passed down through generations, helping to preserve the nation's value, history, and identity.
Now that we have introduced Malaysia, let's explore the historical and cultural background of Puteri Saadong. This legend originates from Kelantan folklore and is believed to be set in the 17th century. Understanding this background helps us appreciate the cultural and historical significance of the narrative.
The narrative is closely connected to the history of Kelantan and its relationship with Siam. Although it contains historical elements, the story also blends myths and legends, making it both a historical and cultural narrative. This combination of fact and folklore contributes to the uniqueness of the legend.
The legend reflects traditional Malay society, where royal families played an important role in maintaining political stability. Political conflicts between kingdoms, as well as the concepts of honor, dignity, and loyalty, are central themes in the story. These values influence many of the characters' decisions and actions throughout the narrative.
The narrative also highlights the patriarchal social structure of the time, showing the expectation placed on women and the importance of family reputation. Despite these expectations, Puteri Saadong is portrayed as a strong and influential figure. Traditional Malay customs and values strongly shape the behavior of the characters in the story.
In addition, the story includes supernatural belief and elements commonly found in local folklore, passed down through oral storytelling traditions. The legend has helped preserve the local history and cultural knowledge for generations. As a result, Puteri Saadong continues to reflect Kelantanese identity and cultural heritage today.
Now, let's look at the origin of the story. Puteri Saadong is one of the most famous figures in Kelantan's history and folklore, admired for her beauty, wisdom, bravery, loyalty, and resilience. Her story has remained popular for generations and continues to be remembered by many Malaysians today.
Her story has been passed down through generations and remains an important part of Malaysian cultural heritage. It continues to inspire people through oral traditions, literature, and cultural performances. As a result, Puteri Saadong has become an enduring symbol of courage and sacrifice in Malay folklore.
The legend is closely connected to the history of the Kelantan Sultanate during the 17th century. It reflects the political challenges, loyalty, and bravery that were valued in traditional Malay society. The historical setting also helps explain many of the events that take place in the narrative.
According to traditional narratives, Puteri Saadong was married to Raja Abdullah and became involved in issues related to Siamese influence in Kelantan. This combination of historical events and legendary elements makes the story unique. It also demonstrates how folklore can preserve historical memories while adding imaginative and cultural elements.
Overall, the legend reflects traditional Malay values such as loyalty, respect for authority, sacrifice, and courage. Its supernatural elements also demonstrate the close relationship between history, culture, and mythology in Malay society. Through these elements, the story continues to preserve and promote Malaysia culture heritage.
So now, let's move on to the type of narrative. The story of Puteri Saadong is classified as a legend because it is based on a real historical figure believed to have lived during the 17th century Kelantan Sultanate. This historical connection distinguishes it from many other forms of traditional narratives.
Unlike myths, which often focus on gods or the creation of the world, legends are connected to real people, places, or historical events. This makes Puteri Saadong different from purely mythical tales. Its narrative is rooted in historical settings that are familiar to the local community.
Historical records and local traditions suggest that Puteri Saadong was an actual princess. This strengthens the historical foundation of the legend and supports its classification as a narrative based on real events. As a result, many people regard her as both a historical and cultural figure.
Over time, the story was passed down through oral storytelling and gradually combined historical facts with supernatural and legendary elements. Many versions describe Puteri Saadong as possessing extraordinary beauty, wisdom, and mystical abilities. These elements make the narrative more engaging while reflecting traditional Malay beliefs.
As a result, the legend not only preserves the history of Kelantan but also teaches important values such as loyalty, courage, sacrifice, and resilience. These moral lessons have contributed to the story's lasting popularity. Therefore, Puteri Saadong remains a significant part of Malaysia culture and literary heritage.
Then, let's talk about the major characters in the legend. The main protagonist is Puteri Saadong, a princess of Kelantan who is well known for her extraordinary beauty. She is one of the most respected figures in Malay folklore because of her remarkable qualities and life stories.
Besides her beauty, Puteri Saadong is portrayed as intelligent, wise, courageous, independent, and strong-willed. She is also deeply loyal to her husband and is often seen as a symbol of resilience. Throughout the story, she faces many challenges but remains determined and dignified.
In some versions of the legend, Puteri Saadong is associated with mystical abilities. These supernatural elements add depth to her character and reflect traditional Malay belief and folklore. They also make her character more fascinating and memorable to audiences.
Another important character is Raja Abdullah, the ruler of Kelantan and Puteri Saadong's husband. He is portrayed as a loving and protective husband, but he is also emotional, jealous, and suspicious, making him a tragic figure in the story. His actions eventually contribute to the conflict and sorrow that shape the legend's tragic ending.
The King of Siam also played a significant role. As a powerful ruler, he symbolized political power and external influence on Kelantan. His interest in Puteri Saadong leads to the separation between her and Raja Abdullah, creating one of the major conflicts in the legend.
Now, let's summarize the key events of the legend. Puteri Saadong, whose real name was Raja Saadah Puteri Mariam, was the daughter of Raja Loyor of Jembal and was later adopted by Cik Siti Wan Kembang. Her early life and royal background played an important role in shaping her future as a ruler.
She married Raja Abdullah and eventually became the ruler of Kelantan. Their marriage was initially a symbol of love and unity within the kingdom. Together, they were admired by the people and represented stability in Kelantan.
However, the King of Siam became fascinated by Puteri Saadong's beauty and demanded that she be brought to Siam. To protect Kelantan from war and bloodshed, she agreed to go, while Raja Abdullah promised to remain faithful and wait for her return. Her decision demonstrated her courage and willingness to sacrifice her own happiness for her people.
That's a remarkable sacrifice, Khadijah. What happened to Puteri Saadong during her time in Siam? I'm curious about how she managed to survive and gain the respect of the Siamese court.
Despite the difficult circumstances, she earned the respect of the King of Siam through her wisdom and extraordinary abilities. She remained dignified and loyal to her homeland throughout her stay. Her intelligence and strength allowed her to overcome many challenges.
While in Siam, Puteri Saadong successfully cured the seriously ill King of Siam. As a result, he allowed her to return to Kelantan and reunite with her husband. This event marked an important turning point in the legend.
Sadly, upon her return, she discovered that Raja Abdullah had married another woman. Feeling betrayed, she confronted him and killed him with a hairpin. Afterward, she lived in seclusion at Bukit Mara, and later she disappeared mysteriously, become a legendary figure in Malay folklore and literature.
Now, let's discuss the central conflict in the legend of Puteri Saadong. The main conflict revolves around the struggle between love and duty. Throughout the story, Puteri Saadong is forced to make difficult decisions that affect both her personal life and her kingdom.
Puteri Saadong faces a difficult choice between staying with her husband, Raja Abdullah, and protecting Kelantan from the threat of war. Ultimately, she chooses to sacrifice her personal happiness for the safety of her people. Her decision highlights her sense of responsibility and devotion to her kingdom.
By leaving for Siam, Puteri Saadong experiences loneliness, separation, and emotional hardship. This shows both her internal conflict and the external challenges she faces. Despite these difficulties, she remains strong and committed to her duty.
Aina, after everything Puteri Saadong sacrificed for her kingdom, do you think she expected Raja Abdullah to remain faithful and keep his promise? After all, she gave up so much for the sake of her people. It would have been heartbreaking if her trust was broken.
Absolutely. She left not because she wanted to, but because she felt responsible for protecting her people. After enduring loneliness and separation for so long, she naturally hoped to return to a loving and faithful husband.
The conflict reaches its climax when Puteri Saadong returns to Kelantan and discovers that Raja Abdullah has married another woman, despite his promise to wait for her. This revelation creates tension between the two characters and becomes a turning point in the story. It also marks the beginning of the tragic conclusion of the legend.
Feeling deeply betrayed, she confronts Raja Abdullah, leading to a tragic ending. Through these conflicts, the legend explores important themes such as love, sacrifice, loyalty, betrayal, and responsibility. These themes are one reason why the story continues to be remembered and discussed today.
Now, let's look at the ending of the legend. After returning from Siam, Puteri Saadong discovers that Raja Abdullah has broken his promise of loyalty and remarried during her absence. This revelation becomes the final conflict that shapes the tragic conclusion of the story.
Heartbroken and betrayed, she confronts Raja Abdullah at the palace. This emotional encounter marks the final turning point of the narrative. The confrontation reflects the deep sense of disappointment and betrayal she experiences after all her sacrifices.
During the confrontation, Puteri Saadong kills Raja Abdullah using her cucuk sanggul or royal hairpin. This act marks the end of their relationship and highlights the consequences of betrayal and broken trust. It also serves as the climax of the legend.
Following the incident, Puteri Saadong leaves the palace of Kota Jelasin and withdraws from public life. She chooses to live in seclusion at Bukit Mara, distancing herself from political and personal conflicts of the kingdom. Her decision reflects her desire to escape from the pain and tragedy she has experienced.
The legend concludes with her mysterious disappearance, or hilang, where she is believed to have transcended the physical world and become a guardian spirit of the land. With her departure, the kingdom's decline and its capital abandoned. These endings symbolize the collapse of the states that could not survive without her leadership and presence.
Next, let's critically analyze how the narrative of Puteri Saadong reflects traditions in Malay society. This story presents a strong female leader who inherits power and wisdom, yet her freedom is limited by patriarchal expectations. Her sacrifice for the kingdom shows how women were often expected to place duty above personal happiness.
The narrative also reflects cultural beliefs. It highlights respect for royalty, the importance of fate and destiny, and the influence of rulers on society. At the same time, Puteri Saadong challenges traditional gender roles by demonstrating strength, leadership, and resilience as a female ruler.
In terms of customs, the story reflects historical diplomatic practices, royal court traditions, and ceremonial rules. It also incorporates supernatural beliefs, particularly the idea that rulers with special spiritual power are protected by forces beyond the physical world. These elements provide insight into the values and worldview of traditional Malay society.
The legend promotes important moral values such as loyalty, self-sacrifice, courage, resilience, honesty, and honor. Puteri Saadong endured hardship to protect her people, while the tragic conflict with Raja Abdullah reminds us of the consequences of broken trust and betrayal. These lessons remain relevant and meaningful for modern audience.
Finally, the narrative reflects religious influence and societal norm in traditional Malay society. It emphasizes values such as passion, faithfulness, moral conduct, and responsibility. Through Puteri Saadong's experience, the story encourages us to reflect on balance between personal happiness and duty to family, community, and society.
Next, let's examine three major themes represented in the legend of Puteri Saadong. The first theme is power and leadership. The Siamese king misused his authority by demanding Puteri Saadong, showing how power can be abused for personal interests.
In contrast, Puteri Saadong represents responsible leadership. She prioritized the safety of her people and sacrificed her own happiness by going to Siam to prevent war. Her actions demonstrate courage, integrity, and loyalty to her kingdom.
The second theme is love and sacrifice. Puteri Saadong's willingness to leave her husband and homeland reflects her deep sense of responsibility and devotion. However, the story also shows that sacrifice can lead to emotional pain, loneliness, and disappointment.
The tragic ending reminds us that love requires mutual trust, commitment, and understanding. Despite her sacrifices, Puteri Saadong was betrayed by Raja Abdullah, highlighting both the value and the cost of love. This theme encourages us to appreciate loyalty and honesty in relationships.
Aiman, you highlighted important point about trust and loyalty. Beside the theme of love and sacrifice, do you think the supernatural element also contribute to the uniqueness of this legend?
Definitely. The supernatural elements make the story more engaging while also reflecting the beliefs and traditions of the society in which it developed.
That's a great observation. The third theme is supernatural belief. In many versions of the legend, Puteri Saadong possesses mystical ability and spiritual knowledge. This element reflects traditional Malay belief in unseen force and demonstrate how folklore preserve the culture value, imagination, and worldview of Malay society.
Now that we have discussed the major themes, an important question is why the narrative of Puteri Saadong remains relevant today. One reason is its portrayal of leadership and responsibility. These values continue to inspire people in both personal and professional aspects of life.
Puteri Saadong demonstrates strong leadership by making difficult decisions to protect her kingdom. Her actions remind us that effective leaders must prioritize the welfare of their people, especially during times of crisis. She serves as an example of how leadership requires wisdom, courage, and selflessness.
The story is also relevant because it highlights courage and resilience. Despite facing political conflicts, separation, and personal hardships, Puteri Saadong remains determined and strong. Her perseverance encourages individuals to stay strong when facing challenges in their own life.
Her experiences encourage us to persevere through challenges and remain committed to our responsibilities, even when circumstances are difficult. This lesson is especially relevant today, as many people face personal, academic, and professional challenges that require patience, determination, and resilience to overcome. It reminds us that success often comes from persistence and a positive mindset.
Finally, the narrative teaches a valuable lesson about sacrifice and understanding. Putri Saadong sacrifices her personal happiness for the well-being of Kelantan, reminding us to appreciate the sacrifice others make and to understand the lesson before passing judgment. This timeless lesson helps explain why the legend continues to resonate with audiences today.
Now that we have discussed why the narrative remains relevant today, another important question is whether younger generations still connect with the story of Puteri Saadong. In an age dominated by digital technology and modern entertainment, traditional legends often face challenges in maintaining their relevance among younger audiences. Nevertheless, many efforts are being made to preserve and promote these stories for future generations.
I believe that many young people still connect with the legend because its themes are universal and timeless. Putri Saadong's bravery, resilience, and determination can inspire those facing academic, social, and personal challenges. Her story shows that courage and perseverance are important qualities in overcoming difficulties.
In addition, her loyalty and willingness to sacrifice for the well being of others continue to resonate with modern audiences. These values encourage young people to remain strong and committed to their principles. They also remind us of the importance of responsibility, empathy, and selflessness in everyday life.
The story also helps younger generations learn about traditional Malay values, beliefs, and historical experiences. By engaging with the legend, they can develop a stronger appreciation of their cultural roots and national heritage. This understanding can help preserve cultural identity in an increasingly globalized world.
Therefore, Putri Saadong's story remains a living legacy rather than a forgotten tale. Its continued relevance depends on preserving its cultural significance while adapting to its form of storytelling that appeal to modern audiences. Through books, film, digital media, and education programs, the legend can continue to inspire future generations.
Now, let's explore some modern adaptations and reinterpretations of the legend of Putri Saadong. Many contemporary versions modify certain elements of the story to suit modern cultural and religious contexts. These adaptations help ensure that the legend remains relevant and accessible to present-day audiences.
For example, supernatural elements and mystical rituals are often reduced or removed. Instead of focusing on magic, modern adaptations may portray Putri Saadong's disappearance as a political withdrawal or personal retreat. This approach allows the story to be interpreted in a more realistic and historical manner.
Some versions also reinterpret the conflict with Raja Abdullah. Rather than presenting the killing as a deliberate act, it may be portrayed as a tragic accident to preserve the heroine's positive image. This reinterpretation encourages audiences to view the event with greater sympathy and understanding.
In addition, traditional costumes are often adapted to reflect contemporary modesty standards, while greater emphasis is placed on Islamic values such as patience, faithfulness, self-control, and spiritual reflection. These changes allow the story to remain culturally relevant while still preserving its core messages and moral lessons for modern audience. As a result, the legend can continue to be appreciated by people from different generations.
From my experience, I first learned about many traditional stories through social media rather than books. I believe modern platforms play an important role in keeping legends like Puteri Saadong alive among younger audiences. They make cultural stories more engaging, accessible, and appealing to the digital generation.
Most importantly, the legend is now shared through digital media such as TikTok, YouTube animation, and podcasts. This modern format helps introduce Puteri Saadong to younger audiences while keeping the story relevant in today's society. By combining tradition with technology, the story can continue to educate and inspire future generations.
As we come to the end of our discussion, let's reflect on the lessons modern society can still learn from the legend of Puteri Saadong. Although the story originated centuries ago, many of its values and messages remain relevant in today's world. These lessons continue to provide guidance for individuals, communities, and leaders alike.
One important lesson is the value of responsible and ethical leadership. Puteri Saadong demonstrates duty, selflessness, and a strong commitment to the well-being of her people. Her actions show that true leadership involves making sacrifices for the greater good.
The story also emphasizes the importance of loyalty, trust, and honesty in maintaining strong relationships both in personal life and within society. These values help build understanding and harmony, while their absence can lead to conflict and misunderstanding. The legend reminds us that strong relationships depend on mutual respect and sincerity.
At the same time, the narrative shows that broken trust can lead to conflict, disappointment, and emotional suffering, highlighting the need for mutual respect and understanding. This lesson reminds us that maintaining trust and open communication is essential for building healthy and lasting relationships. It also encourages us to think carefully about the consequences of our actions on others.
Khadija, among all the lessons we have discussed, which one do you think is the most relevant to people today? Many people face challenges and uncertainties in their daily lives. I think different lessons may resonate with different individuals depending on their experiences.
I believe resilience is one of the most important lessons. Puteri Saadong faced many challenges and disappointments, yet her story reminds us to remain strong and persevere through difficult situations. Her determination serves as an inspiration for anyone facing obstacles in life.
Finally, Puteri Saadong's resilience reminds us to persevere through challenges with courage and determination. Overall, the legend continues to inspire modern society by promoting values such as responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and perseverance. This timeless value ensure the story remain meaningful for future generations.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode of Tell and Talk. We hope our discussion has helped you better understand the legend of Puteri Saadong and the values it represents. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again in our next episode. Until then, take care and goodbye. Bye-bye.